Hello, Abusianfo. Or I guess I should say, hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel since this is YouTube. But as promised, I am sharing with you all my goat's meat jollof recipe highlights. I don't want to call it recipe because as you will see in this video, this is not a full recipe video, okay? As most of you know, I used to cook commercially, and so I am not comfortable giving away my full recipe, but I just wanted to at least show you all some techniques as to how I cook my jollof rice. So to get started, we're just going to season our goat's meat. For this specific video, I seasoned my goat's meat using garlic, onions, green bell peppers, ginger, habanero peppers, and Maggi cube. And I also added in just a bit of nutmeg as well. So to blend, I'm going to add everything to my blender, and then I'm going to add a tablespoonful of Araba spices, which I received from Motherland USA. I'm going to link it in the description below. Then I also added some curry powder as well, and I'm going to add in a bit of rosemary. From this video, you will see that I kind of over seasoned the meat a little bit because we did not have time and we were cooking the meat the same day. So if I am, let's say, marinated overnight, I will definitely reduce the seasons a little bit, but because we're cooking it the same day, I over seasoned. I intentionally over seasoned the meat so that it can be really good and delicious. So I blended everything together. I love this blender so much. I highly recommend it. It's very cheap. It's very efficient. I will link it in the description box below as well. So I blended everything, then I just poured it all over the meats. Obviously, I cleaned my meat thoroughly before I added the blended seasoning. So definitely make sure that you're cleaning your meat thoroughly. And then I just kind of mixed everything well together. I like to say that no seasoning left behind. So as you can see, I am rinsing the blender with water, and then I'm just adding it to the meat as well. So once I've added everything, I'm just going to give it a good stir to make sure that everything is well incorporated, because when person spices no so once I've mixed everything all together, I just left it there to kind of marinate for a couple of minutes while I was doing some things. So once I'm ready to cook, I just placed it on the stove. When I cooked it initially for about 30-45 minutes, I did not add any water whatsoever, because as you can tell, when I was blending it and after I blended it, I added a little bit of water to the mixture, right? So once I've allowed it to steam for a good 30-45 minutes on low medium heat, I just tasted for salt to just make sure that I liked where it was currently. Placed it back on the stove, and then I actually added water at this point to actually cook the meat. And as most of you know, I have Invisalign, or I did Invisalign treatment, so I really like my meats to be really soft. Like, because then there's no point, right? So I make sure that my meats are really soft, because when I'm chewing the meat, or as I am enjoying the meat, I don't want to be fighting with the meat. That's essentially what I said in Chi. So once I added the water, I'm just going to allow it to cook thoroughly. I'm going to add in a bit of salt just to adjust the taste, and then I'm just going to allow it to cook thoroughly until tender. So I allowed the goat's meat to cook for about 45 additional minutes. Once that's done, and once I was pleased with how tender it was, I just removed it from the stove. We're going to be using the stock from the goat's meat, so just make sure that you're saving that aside. And now let's dive into making the jollof rice. So as I mentioned earlier, this is not going to be a full recipe video, so I will not be showing how I made the stew. I don't want to make any promises, but hopefully sometime in life I can show you all how I make my jollof stew. So once we added the rice, the washed rice to the stew, we just added 1 Maggi cube, and then the rest of the seasonings. So curry, lots of bits of adobo, fresh grated nutmeg, some bay leaves, and some salt. We're just going to go ahead. Hey, you ready? We're just gonna go ahead and mix everything well together. You want to make sure once you add the stock here, when we were adding the stock, I was just like, Mommy, I didn't know my share because usually I just pour it, right? But she's like, oh, yeah, video into the episode for so just for you guys, I'm just kind of adding and straining the stock into the jollof pot. So once I've added enough stock to the rice, we're just gonna go ahead and mix it well together. This stage is very, very important. You want to make sure that every single grain, like you want to make sure that every single grain in this pot is well incorporated and mixed extremely well with the stew and all of the spices. So just for brevity and things like that, I just kind of shortened this part of it, but you want to mix it like for a couple of minutes to make make sure you mix it for a couple of minutes and then obviously taste it and adjust the seasoning. We added just a little bit more salt here, but you want to make sure that you're mixing everything well together, because this is an important step. Okay, so again, because this is just a highlight video, we allowed it to cook for about 30-45 minutes before actually adding the foil to the pot. Okay, so you want to allow it to cook for about 30-45 minutes on medium-low heat, and then once you get to this stage, that's when you actually want to add in the foil. So as you can see here, the rice at this stage is not cooked at all. You just want to make sure that, again, when you go in to mix it, this is a huge pot of jollof rice, right? So just make sure that you're mixing it a couple of times to make sure that everything is well incorporated. Again, at this stage, because it's a highlight video, I did not show everything, but we allowed it to cook additional for about 30 more minutes, and then at this stage the jollof is almost cooked. So right now I just went ahead and I added my fried goat meat and my corned beef jollof rice. Hey, my corned beef jollof rice, sorry, I added my corned beef I added my corned beef and my goat meat to the rice. Okay, and then what I'm doing here, I am essentially covering the goat meat and the corned beef with the rice so that it can steam and the corned beef can soften up using the steam from the rice. Okay, so sometimes if it's like corned beef and a or something, that I would microwave it just a little bit, but because this is a huge pot of rice, the steam from the rice will be able to soften up the corned beef and it's not going to quote unquote get missing in the rice. So the tip to making really good jollof rice, I would say, is that you want to make sure that you are keeping an eye on the amount of liquid that you're adding to the jollof rice. So if you watched previously, once we mixed everything, there was not a lot of liquid, on the top of the rice itself, right? You just want to leave a very thin layer for it to cook properly. Now, if you are someone that you like, let's say, mushy jollof rice, you definitely want to add a little bit more water or a little bit more stock, but we don't, in my house, we don't like mushy rice. So that's just the amount of stock or water that we add to our jollof rice. And also, I know that in this specific video I washed my rice. Okay, sometimes we don't wash our rice so I'm definitely team no washing of rice like 90% of the time. But again, because this was a video, Mama was like, you know what, Samuel, let's just wash the rice because can't afford your kasan. So I said, okay, fine. But when you're washing the rice, you just want to make sure that because you've washed the rice, there's definitely additional liquid. You want to be cognizant of that when you're adding the stock or the water to actually cook the rice. And so that's why personally we typically do not wash our rice. I know that's a huge debate, but at the end of the day, it's my food. I'm going to do what I want. And when you're in your house and you're making your jollof rice, you can decide how you want to tackle your own food as well. But yeah, guys, this is essentially it. I hope that you found this video a little bit useful. Again, I will not, at least I don't want to say like never say never, right? But I don't intend on providing like a full detailed video of the jollof rice, but I'm hoping that at least this video was a little bit useful, so you can get a sense of how we make our almighty goat's meat jollof rice. But yeah, this is it. Thank you all so much for watching and for always supporting. I know this video was just a long time in the making. So I hope that you enjoyed it, and definitely let me know in the comments if this was helpful at all. Madam for saying you're helpful, keep it to yourself. I don't want to know. But okay, guys, love you all so much. Thank you always for the support, and I will see you all hopefully on my next video. Bye.